Christopher Media, the Toddzilla X-Pod.
I don't like shooing people away, but it's good practice sometimes. Some people like me, some people can't fucking stand me. I'm polarizing, I get that. But I think it's fair that I should come with a warning label. Then I should get that out there before you stumble into something thinking it's going to be something it's not.
The Toddzilla X-Pod on iTunes and ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media, let's make some noise.
All right, is this any better?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Does that sound a little bit better to you?
Yeah.
It's more consistent, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll just get rid of this. I don't like the sound quality of this mic. It's like an old...
Well, you have the mic, so we will have to listen to everything you have to say. So
Was that Radio Shack, Kmart?
It's exactly what it was. It was Radio Shack like 10 years ago.
Was it a Radio Shack in a Kmart?
I think it was next to a Kmart. Actually, it was in Kalamazoo, so it probably was right next to Kmart.
Near a Circuit City, probably.
I've been to some backwoods shit down in Ohio where there was a Radio Shack outlet in this hardware store.
There was a Radio Shack in a hardware store.
It wasn't even a full Radio Shack. It was like an outlet part. It was like they had shelled a Radio Shack, 2 walls of it, and thrown it into a hardware store.
That's like having a fucking...
It was on the Ohio-West Virginia border.
Oh, of course. But I'm just saying, it's like having, I don't know, like running drugs out the back of a party store. Doesn't really make... You might as well just open one or the other.
It was a county seat type of thing. Like, people were going into town type of... There were Amish about this town. This was a town where the Taco Bell closed at 9 o'clock every night. The McDonald's shut up by 11.
Oh, so no chili cheese burritos in that town.
It was that kind of party in this place. What the fuck was it called?
I have a gift for you guys, by the way. If you want to pass it around when I'm done reading it, you'll love it. It's called The Gospel of Judas.
Yes. I've seen that before.
Yeah,
I haven't read it, but I've seen it.
I had a buddy of mine. I haven't even really gotten too far into it, but one of my travel buddies was here like a month or so ago and left it for me. So I'll send that to Chris, and you guys can pass it around and be heathens along with me if you want.
Oh,
should
Chris,
be fun.
Chris will enjoy that with his Kool-Aid drinking background.
Can we have a book club episode?
My dad calls me a heathen. It's fun.
I like that. Yeah. What are we reading?
Arab,
what are we reading this week?
1 year later, when we all get through the book,
Eddie will still be trying to.
Okay.
Eddie will still be trying to get through network at that point.
He did send it to me today, so it will be a
movie.
It's in my possession. Yeah.
You guys have. There's this free website that I have that I found it's not exactly legal, but you can get pretty much any movie ever made for free and stream it on your computer.
Yeah, it's called BitTorrent.
No, it's not. No, it's actually streaming.
Oh, my bad.
It's not a torrent site, but it's wonderful. That's what Chris has a link to that if you want to reverse engineer and find it, because everything's on there. Cool. Almost everything you can think of.
You sent the person who watches the least amount of movies the link.
I'm trying to fucking fire him up, man. I mean, he talks about this media shit all the time, and he's never seen Network.
I know how
it's like preaching the Bible and never reading the Bible or something. You know what I mean? It's just,
and then Jesus said, "Fuck it," whatever he said, and then just give me money.
He said something important.
Just give me money.
And he fed 5,000 people with some bread and some fish.
Also, let me know if I'm stepping on you guys at all, if I'm talking over like the back end of you guys. I noticed last week that it was kind of hard to tell when you're done talking. So if I'm like coming in too quick and cutting you guys off or something, just tell me.
I don't remember.
A series of hand signals.
Yeah, that'll work too. Yeah.
The hippie will give you the hand signals.
That is some
have
impressive.
hair to his ass till like a year ago.
Dude, that is some fucking impressive hair. Considering the 3 others of us, that's.
My shit's just gray. I have a full head. It's just gray. Yeah. I'm just saying. See, Todd didn't see me before I cut my hair. This isn't fair. My shit was quite impressive and would have gotten me arrested in St. Clair Shores. So
was it pretty long? You had long ass hair?
Yeah, it was. I'd shave my head and let it grow for 2 years. So it was close to. You could have called it a mullet because the back was longer in the front, but the front was down to the bottom of my earlobes. You know what I'm saying? So, but it was all. You know who I looked like? I looked like a fat version of Sam. Sam, who's the fucking actor from Roadhouse?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I look like a fat version of him. That's what my hair looks like.
Swayze?
No. The other one, the guy that's in
in Big Lebowski.
Yeah, the guy that's in the Big Lebowski. Yeah, it's your way, dude. Sam.
What the fuck is his name?
The bar, and sometimes the bar eats you.
Oh, Sam Elliott.
Yeah,
Sam Elliott.
Looks like a fat version of Sam Elliott. So
how does the guy who now watches movies come up with that one? It's Throwing that out there.
You don't have very much rattling around in your head.
Exactly.
The information access is easy for you. There's like 3 actors up there.
Right, yeah, like Rich earlier asked me if I'd seen Adventureland, and I had to like go through all the movies in my head that ended in land
And the best
figure
one
out
is-
if I'd actually seen that one.
Hattie shoots off with that's Zombieland. That's Zombieland. I'm like,
Wonderland?
No, it's
that
Adventureland.
wasn't the one about John Holmes.
That's an actually really good movie.
I like that one.
I love that movie, but
Do
that's
you have any way of recording video?
Oh God, there's no,
Not
no.
much.
We all
just
have.
that camera that we're
Todd,
using
sir,
for this.
sir. Okay, Todd,
I
sir.
just think this would be great as a video
you
cast.
and and AA Ron over here.
Yeah.
You're man pretty. Okay, we
Oh,
understand that, but Hattie and I have faces for radio. So if you guys want to record each other,
There's a reason why we're funny.
I mean, maybe record each other even docking. You guys, I mean,
Whoa.
just saying.
Wow.
You could be like the Lucas and Spielberg of Twink movies. Go
Is that
ahead, do it.
Doc in the band or Doc and Wolverine's son?
Lucas and Spielberg of Twink movies? Did I hear that?
Yeah. Just doc. I don't. Actually, you have a
I know
Jewy
where you're
name.
headed.
but
I know where
pretty-
you're headed.
I don't know if he's cut or not. This is something I don't want to know if I want to know.
What? I'm sorry. I looked at my phone for a second, and you were pondering on whether I was cut.
Don't know.
Oh,
Circumcised. Yeah.
I thought you meant like if I had like a 6-pack.
No, I've seen you out of the button-up shirt.
No, you know that I don't. My God.
So
I thought you were
wonderful.
like wondering if you should challenge me or something. Is this guy gonna mess me up or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna whip my shirt off and be like Chris Farley in that skit with Patrick Swayze. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Yeah, no.
So can I assume that all of this banter gold is being recorded?
Oh,
We are recording right now. Yes.
Yeah,
for 8
great.
minutes.
Sweet. What do you do with this shit? You just look for outtakes?
Yeah, yes and no. Or I just look for a good starting point.
Isolating Aaron saying
Yeah.
things like,
Oh, when I come across things
great.
while editing, it's, incriminating things.
Aaron,
Like
what was it?
Like Red Wings?
I'm pissed that yes. I don't know about you, but I keep my women clean, and it was just
I don't remember saying that.
That was one of
I don't remember half the shit that comes out of my mouth.
That was one of the best pieces of podcasting I have ever heard in my life. that whole entire 10-minute stretch of you talking about eating red pussy was just some of the best stuff that I've ever heard. It was great. And by the way, just so I
Marconi
could,
type shit right there.
I just need to feel like a part of the group here, and I have done that. I think I've done it twice, and both times. The first time I think I was high on coke, and the second time I was so drunk I had no idea what I was doing.
See,
Absolutely no idea.
this is a man that's how a man accidentally eats a spicy taco.
You
He
just
doesn't
don't
go down
care.
there bone sober and get
Yeah.
eyeball to eyeball with a clit and go, are you
I'm gonna
bleeding
fuck this.
month?
I'm
You know
gonna
what I'm saying?
eat this. I'm gonna fuck this. I don't care if it's bleeding like a fucking stuck shark. I'm sticking something in this just because you're that fucked up. You just don't care.
I
you know?
am the clit commander.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. I've been in the situation being really drunk and then all of a sudden coming up with blood on somewhere or something, and you're just like, "What's happening?"
Do you remember the very first time that happened to you? I think I was like 18 or 19 the first time that I think the chick was grinding me so hard she actually rubbed some shit off my junk. It came up and I think I pulled out of her and I was like, she looks down and she's like, "Hey hun, you're bleeding. What's going on?" I had no fucking idea, dude. I was fucking horrified.
She dry humped you raw, is what you're saying.
I think so, yeah.
Oh my
yeah, it was fucking painful, whatever the fuck it was. I mean, my shit was it wasn't from jerking off. I was getting laid enough where I wasn't spanking it that hard. So it had to be her.
You needed chapstick for your shaft after that.
Yeah. It was
shaft stick.
Shaft stick. That's
I need
what
to-
we need to open
Shaft
up on.
stick.
Yeah.
I needed super
Thank you, Aaron. You just provided the open. Thank you.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
We're here with Todd. We're with
Yes.
Toddzilla.
I'm Chris.
And this is Aaron.
this is a bunch of horse shit. I can't hear a goddamn thing. I feel like...
Did you hear the things last week?
Yeah.
Did you hear the intro and everything?
That's why you guys are sitting there like just doing absolutely nothing, and I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? You just ignoring me now, you assholes? I can see you. You know, you're ignoring me while I'm looking at you now, you dickheads.
Passive aggressive. We're just gonna be like,
just cutting
no,
the
we ain't saying
feed.
shit.
Yeah,
Can you
just
fix
cutting the
that?
feed
That would-
didn't shut you up last time, so we're just going to try ignoring you.
Asshole. I thought it was the NSA. It was the
Yeah, it was.
I know exactly what it was.
Just being an
Fucking
asshole.
persecuting and oppressing me.
Yeah. What is 20? What is this one going to be? 20.
Man.
I think this is going to be the double deuce.
Are we talking about how many beers
22?
I've had, or?
The episode, yes.
Oh, by the way,
Beers you've
gentlemen,
had, episodes of Unregimented.
I showed up not with a bag of beer this time, but with the better part of a dirty 30. And yes, the
Nice.
part that was gone, I'd already started drinking. Much like Matthew McConaughey said in True Detective. On my days off, I start drinking at noon. You don't get to interrupt that. So
That's one of my favorite lines in that show.
I missed the boat on that show.
Chris,
sounds
we
like
just
I have to watch it.
it's a given that you just don't watch anything except for football, which, Scott Daddy bless you for.
Sports.
Yeah.
Yay.
Copyright Toddzilla X.
Yo, girlfriend just walked in. I have beer. Sweet. I'm going to be able to catch up with you guys now. Thank you very much.
You guys, there's only one guy to catch up with.
I'm just high as hell.
Oh, that's what it is. So this is going to be, what did you say, 22 for you guys?
C. You ever going to make 6?
Fuck no. I was actually having a conversation. Well, you know what? This is another thing. I heard your little condemnation of me getting on a regular schedule or whatever the fuck you said
Oh,
last
boy.
week.
Actually,
You know
that was
what?
me
Here's
trying
the
to
thing.
make a
Hey,
that was
Here's the
me
thing.
editing.
Here's the
trying to
thing.
all
I
right.
tap out of this one. Go ahead.
You asked me a question. No, you're not going to tap out of this. I'm going to drag you right back into it. You asked me if I was. You made a comment if I'm ever going to do another one. And then last week you said you're going to try to bullwhip me into getting onto some regular
Yes,
schedule, some
bullwhip, actual
consistency
quote.
or something. Here's the thing: when you start paying me, you know what I mean. Then we'll have a conversation about about me doing my job. But nobody's paying me for this. I do it when I get around to it, when I feel like doing it, when I feel creative enough to send this creative crap out into the ethos, then I'll do it. But I haven't felt that way. I've tried to set down and actually do this every week for the last 3 weeks, and everything changes or something happens where I feel like I have to kind of go in a different direction. And by the time I do that, then something else is done. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep it timely, but yeah, it's just I haven't.
Todd,
He's
I
a
told-
pod artist.
Todd, I told you, man. Just let it flow. You're good enough. Just let it flow, man.
Fuck off.
Just let it come.
Fuck off.
Just
Everybody go to hell.
like Frankie
what I'm
said,
saying.
relax. It's okay.
We're going to
Jesus Christ.
go to an imaginary place.
So yeah, I'm going to try to get number 6 done. I have it. Like I said, I have enough material written at this
There's
point
enough
to.
shit going on for you to have 6, 7,
It's there,
8,
man. It's
9.
just I don't know what the fuck to do with it. I got so much of this stuff written and so many ideas that I can't get it congealed down into like one coherent idea. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if I sit down and I start recording this shit, I'm going to have about 17 hours worth of audio, and I'm not going to have any place to put it, into one.
Well,
coherent.
That's like a one session for us. So
Yeah, well, that could be the new theme. Could be where did you hear about Obama talking about he wants to take down the Islamic State today?
Oh boy.
That should go over good and well.
Oh yeah, that'll go over real well.
Yeah.
Real well.
So what do we have on that?
Well, as of this happened yesterday, but it's probably going to be another week until anyone hears this. But the latest journalist to be executed was Steven Sotloff. This is a gentleman who they showed in the previous video and warned us that they were going to kill him next. But we kind of had a discussion prior to this about where to go with this, and it's kind of the same. I thought of that when Todd brought up his quandary. It's just like this whole can of worms. How do we focus a conversation on this? Because I mean, this goes back not only 3 years, but like 3,000 years.
Yeah.
Basically.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
So
ISIS
the Islamic State. Well, we kind of like did a brief history, an overview of what the situation is and where ISIS came from. And we know that it was an extreme radical group that was born kind of out of the revolution in Syria that's still ongoing. Mm-hmm. But what it really stands for...
The Shiites and the Sunnis.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And what the whole idea of the Islamic State is they just want to partition off Sunni territory. And it has nothing to do with state lines. They're looking at part of Syria and part of Iraq and getting all the Sunnis to their own separate state. And, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. How did we bring that about current?
It's the beauty of being able to edit.
Yeah,
this happens all the time. This is why I write my shit out, too. Believe it or not, we were talking about this earlier, not to get off track here, and I'm not going to run too far with this. Yeah. But this is what I meant earlier when we were talking, Rich, about why I kind of have to not really script everything out, but put myself on a train of thought when I'm doing this by myself. Yeah. Because it's so fucking easy. When you're lost in your headphones and you're like yelling into this microphone, it's so easy to get off track if you don't have other people to kind of bring you back. You know what I mean? So you start talking about ISIS, and pretty soon you're talking about stuffed pink teddy bears you saw on the L 2 weeks ago, and trying to tie all that shit in. But
that happens with us all the time. Man.
So
yeah. But go ahead.
Anyway, it was when ISIS decided to try and claim territory in Iraq as part of the Islamic State is when they got the attention of the U.S. That's when the bombing started, and that's when the beheading started as a response. So I know this is a huge question to pose, but it is the biggest question here. What the hell do we do now? I'm not gonna play the role of the rainbows and glitter guy. Shocking, I know, but there's not a goddamn thing we can do about it. I came to the conclusion earlier today that there's coming up with the same thing. Yeah,
there is nothing you can do because unfortunately there's a line from you've seen V for Vendetta, I assume. I know Chris probably hasn't, but
and read the book.
There's a line in the movie where where V actually dies and he attacks the cop in the subway and he said the cop is shooting the gun at him. Boom, boom, boom. Why won't you die? Because ideas are bulletproof. And this idea, that notion works just as well for ideas you do not agree with as well as the ones you do agree with. You can't go over there and just kill everybody and expect the idea of this Islamic extremist militarism to just go away. You're not going to kill the idea. You are not going to kill the idea that creates terrorists. You cannot do it. It's impossible. There is no fucking solution, especially militaristically over there.
Well, I heard a commentator make what I thought was a valid point. He said in World War II, World War I, Korea, even Vietnam, we were fighting in a country. These are people.
We were fighting a state.
These are people who have members in our own country that we just haven't discovered yet, and there's no way to take the fight to them.
Right. So
my buddy Rob St. Mary, he said his grandfather had the quote on it because I was talking about why don't you go over there and make it a piece of glass? We only had to remind Japan twice, and he said his grandfather had a great, and this was a great quote. Over there, you had somebody to sign the surrender. You had a face to put on it.
There's no one here to do that.
Yeah, there's nobody to sign the surrender for this.
It's because you're not fighting a state. I mean, the Nazis, we destroyed Nazi Germany in World War II. Nazism still exists. You didn't kill the idea, and that's the one thing that we're fighting over there is an idea. We're fighting a mindset, a philosophy, an ideology. You cannot kill it. You could nuke it. You could nuke every major city in the Middle East, and Islamic extremism will survive. It's in Indonesia. It's still alive in Great Britain. It's here. You're not going to eradicate it. You can't exterminate it like that.
So the most vocal politicians on this today. We can just take this as just rhetoric from Chuck Hagel and Joe Biden. Like Chuck Hagel was talking about how our plans are to degrade and destroy ISIS, not to contain them. What does that mean? You're going to blow up some more buildings? You're going to
create more terrorists.
That's exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's what. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, and Biden's quote was talking about how we're gonna chase them to the gates of hell because hell is where they will reside. And he repeated that point.
And that's why I maintain that Biden is now Obama's fucking Dan Quayle.
Biden's posturing for 2016.
Yeah,
Biden is posturing for 2016. That's all that was.
Obama said this today, though. This is from Vice.
Yeah.
I will cite my source. Our objective is clear, and that is to degrade and destroy the Islamic State so that it's no longer a threat, not just to Iraq, but also the region and to the United States. Mm-hmm. That's like George Bush type of shit. That sounds like cowboy rhetoric to me.
We will not tire, we will not falter, and we will not fail.
You want me to
It's the
be
same
real?
damn thing.
What options do we have here? We have no options for airstrikes unless we really want to get involved not only back in Iraq again, but actually get involved in Syria, which is just a complete mess as it is.
Let's go back to the foundation a little bit, though, because I think it may be instructive moving toward the future. Why are we in the situation we're in to begin with? It's because we went into Iraq originally in 2003 and created a security vacuum that was filled first in Syria and then in throughout Iraq by ISIS. So what do we want to do here? What's the point? Do we want to go back into Syria and destabilize things further in order to? It's only going to be filled by people who were worse than the ones before. You see what I'm saying? You have to go back and look at why we're dealing with these nut jobs that we're dealing with right now. It's because of the invasion that took place in 2003, removing Saddam Hussein and creating that vacuum. So do we want to make that same mistake again?
Well,
we want to go in and...
Todd,
how do we do that? What?
You brought up a good point. I was talking to you last night. You said Saddam was controllable. He was, containable is the word.
Yeah,
you
he was
used.
contained.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we knew what he was going to do and what he could do.
Contain the fuck out of him.
Yeah. So now we've created. It's kind of like I was telling you about the book and show called Generation Kill. It was an embedded reporter from a week before we invaded Iraq, for a month and a half after we invaded Iraq with first recon platoon of the Marines, and he rode in the Humvee, saw combat, saw everything, even picked up a rifle a few times himself. One of the squad leaders said to him, "We've kicked the hornet's nest. Now how do we kill all the hornets?" And it sounds like, I don't know, cheesy, but it's a rather apt way to describe the situation.
Wow, how is that cheesy? That sounds perfectly applicable to me. It doesn't sound cheesy to me at all. That's exactly what we did, isn't it?
No, it is, but I mean, I'm sure people more eloquent than myself would. Yeah. To me, it sounds like something I would say. Like, we done fucked shit up. Now how are we going to fix everything? Like, we can't, and that is in the show, because HBO made a miniseries of it, and in the book they show that, because Bush did his whole landed on the aircraft carrier, we won, mission accomplished, everything's done, which we all knew was bullshit, but everybody
but him.
Well,
everybody but him.
He thought it was fucking cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would too if I was.
If I came in on the aircraft carrier,
I got to wear a bomber jacket and everything.
I finally did what my daddy did. But
I play dress up. Yeah.
But no, it's just the book and the TV show covered. Once they got into Baghdad, the infrastructure, how it just degraded, and there was none, and they were doing their best. The United States Marine Corps Force Recon, which is not an occupation, their job is not occupation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I get you.
Now their job became human aid. Their job was to take care of. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, "We're not equipped for this. We're not equipped. We're not trained for this. This isn't our fucking job. Right. Our job is to go and get information, get the fuck out. Swift, silent, deadly, make no noise. Now you got us in here as an occupation force, which is technically the Army's job, if you really want to be, get down to it, as far as, branches of the military. But we had no plan for it. We went in there, we bombed the shit out of the city, left these people with no running water, no infrastructure, and we said, You're free. Have a good time.
Yeah, that sounds like Detroit, doesn't it?
And what made us stop? Like, and it's, one of the biggest talking points about going back into Iraq is about how we're not about nation building. Why did we stop being about nation building?
When the fuck were we not into nation building? That's what I want to. I understand that our politicians claim that, but that's just not the fucking truth. That's what we were doing.
It's not, and
we're going to install democracy is not nation building.
Well, the idea wasn't to install it; it was to give it fertile ground to.
You really think
yeah.
But do you really believe any of the bullshit that it's about fucking installing democracy anywhere? Come on, ask the Guatemalans what happened after United Fruit in Guatemala back in like '54. It wasn't about installing democracy. It's about opening markets. It's about installing people who are friendly trade partners and who it's all economics. It's ridiculous. The word democracy is a code word among, I think, economic or political elites someplace, or it's like chum to throw in the water to the voting hordes. We're over there to spread democracy. It just makes no sense to me how people can look at what our foreign policy is, not only over in the Middle East, but everywhere else, and claim that we're about spreading some sort of noble seed of democracy someplace. It has nothing to do with democracy per se. It's economics. No, it's globalism.
Yeah, we confuse democracy and economics all the time.
Well, it's not
like,
just
we're not going over. We're going over for democracy. You just did it for commerce. Yeah, that's what we said. Democracy.
Exactly. Yeah, so words. I use this term a lot, and it pisses for this phrase a lot because it pisses off a lot of my friends. But words are important. The words that you choose to use are important, and it's important to listen to them. You know what I mean? And listen to how the propaganda kind of what it does. It conflates the thoughts in your head. If they were to say, well, we're going over there to spread capitalism, which is basically what they're doing, American-friendly capitalism. It creates a different image in your head about the nobility of your cause.
We're going over there to install Pizza Huts.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, or go get their oil. You need to make sure we have a steady supply, a steady stream of Iraqi oil for the next generation or so.
One of the things in Generation Kill that I thought was fascinating is these are Marines who see combat and they're with a reporter, and after a certain amount of time, the reporter won their respect because he'd been through enough firefights with them. He even picked up a rifle and covered his sector. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end, they were like, "You're one of us. You've become one of us," and they would talk freely in front of him. And one of the things that Sergeant, I can't remember his real name, but he's named in the book. I mean, everybody's named. There's no
Pepper.
What's up?
Pepper. We'll call him that for the sake of this conversation.
Just keep going.
But he said flat out, he goes, "You want democracy in this country? Put a Starbucks in every fucking country, or on every corner. Put a McDonald's on every other corner. And these motherfuckers will get happy and fat just like us. And they won't care. They won't fight.
They'll stop asking questions."
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And this was a Marine who was from South Central LA, who his job before he joined the Corps was a fucking repo man. And he was like, he's like, how do I put this? He goes, people just, the best time to repo a car? Middle of the day, parking lot where a bunch of people are because no one gives a shit. He goes, here, if I tried to take like a loaf of bread from somebody, half this town would kill me because they care. You know what I'm saying? They care that much. They're paying that much attention in Iraq where he was. Whereas here in America, we don't give a shit. We don't care. But hey, man, fuck. Hey, the car alarm's going off on that guy's car. Hey, fuck it, ain't my problem. My insurance rate ain't going up. What's it fucking matter?
Yeah, it must be broken.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to go off on that tangent.
I don't know. No, it's all on the topic. So coming back to the idea of the question, the unfair question that I asked, what do we do now? Because
you get the fuck out.
There is
you
no
get the fuck out of there. That's the only. No, I'm serious. I know that sounds glib, but there is no positive solution. There's not going to be something that happens in 10 or 15 years where all of a sudden the Middle East is this calm, passive little place where they love America, they love democracy, and they want McDonald's on their street corners. It's just not going to happen. I think that for our self-interest and for our best interest moving forward, I think the only thing to do is to get the fuck out and let them fight it out. Let whatever happens. We have to worry about our own security and if they want to cross borders and things, but.
Yeah, the best way to fight them is to not fight them.
Let them hash it out.
Yeah.
Let natural selection take its place, do its work.
Yeah, I mean, there's an ethical, I guess, point to that too, because everybody has their own right to their own self-determination. There's this theory that had people come in 250 years ago and tried to impose freedom here, that it never would have taken root. We had to go and we had to actually fight for what we wanted and engage in our own self-determination, and we're not allowing that to happen in the Middle East. We're not allowing people to sort of determine their own course of action and where they want to go as a culture and as a people.
But
because they might find the wrong answer.
Exactly. Doesn't that come down to fear? Like we're scared. We're afraid of where they'll come. They may not come to on their own.
They may not choose Americana democracy.
Exactly.
And that's again, but that goes back to not only nation building, but now we're culture building, aren't we?
Once again, isn't that
that's the answer?
Since World War II ended, through movies, through TV, through music.
Well, that's what we did with the Soviet Union. Yeah, we inundated them with glasnost and all that. I remember that as a kid. That once American culture started seeping in to the Soviet Union, Gorbachev really had no choice other than to open the borders, and let this stuff come in. And then it's sort of debatable how that worked out now with Putin, but at the time though, it was something that was having an effect.
Yeah.
So
didn't he say this week he could take the Ukraine in like 2 weeks if he wanted to or some shit?
Yeah. He's a badass, man.
Did he say it with his shirt off like Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah. He may as well have. He may as well have had his dick in his hand. Look at my cock. I will take Kiev in 2 weeks. Look at the size of it.
And I'm not Jewish. It's not cut.
While sitting on a horse.
Sure. The horse is licking the tip of his, foot and a half long cock. Putin. Can you imagine the political ad?
Actually, you know what? That'd be
I'm
better
writing
than
my
the ones
next
we have
podcast
already.
on the fly.
Well, I can't disagree with you on the idea that we just have no business over there at all. The best answer I could come up with as far as fighting ISIS was kind of ridiculous, and that is denying everything. Do what North Korea would do if they were in our situation and just say, what journalist? No, we still have him. You don't have anything. We don't even acknowledge you exist. That's the best way you could do it, is just like, just annoy the fuck out of them with their own tactics.
It's kind of scary when the shaggy defense becomes the best defense for an entire country. As Chris so elegantly put it.
Me?
Yeah, the shaggy defense. Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
That's not me
talking about.
You have no bombing campaign. You have no military campaign on the ground. You have no options for going in and taking out with snipers individual members. It's not going to do anything. We have no other options.
Jesus Christ! Have we become that Orwellian? Seriously?
What?
To where we're just going to go? What do you mean? We're just going to go. We've always been at war with Eurasia. And no, we're not at war with Eurasia anymore. Now we're at war with. Have we just become that Orwellian? Where
it's sort of it's becoming sort of a hybrid between Huxley and Orwell. Between Brave New World and 1984. It's really that's probably another topic for another podcast, maybe another segment of this one. But we're moving in that direction. Where it's the debate and the dialogue and the discourse is. It's really kind of ridiculous.
Guys, I'll be honest with you, it's scary. Like I said,
what is
well, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I just say what is supposedly called discourse nowadays. That's up for debate.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with this, because I think that as scary as the Middle East is right now, and as scary as things are in Iraq and Syria and all that, I think the scarier thing is I've been telling Chris a little bit, and I think I may have passed some of this along to you, Rich. I've been perusing the far right Facebook pages for about the last 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and by the way, hold on a sec. Thank you for sending me those links. The FBI is enjoying kicking in my door right now. Just so you know,
it's still legal. It's still legal to troll these pages as long as you're not liking and participating in them. But it's like one of them is called "Stop White Genocide." Another one is called. There's a bunch of them. If you guys want to see the links, I'll pass them along to you.
Because that's what the U.S. is short on. White males.
You laugh. Now I'm telling you, it's not. It is funny, I guess on the surface, but you have to go and you have to read what they're posting and what they're consuming. Because we're not talking like 20, 30. We're not talking 20 or 30 people who are dealing with this shit. I mean, one of these pages I saw today had almost 200,000 likes on it, and the stuff that's being put out there is incredibly, it's disturbing. And a lot of this revolves around, of course, around Black Obama, Black Jesus in the White House, but it also is anti-Muslim, the holy war between Christianity and Islam. And I'm really terrified. I don't say I'm terrified that often, but what I'm afraid of is that ISIS is going to do something coming across the Mexican border. Or somebody's going to be here, and they're going to perpetrate some sort of an attack someplace, and this fucking country is just going to explode because the divisions that we have between these two propaganda camps, and this goes back to your point, Chris, about what is discourse and what is dialogue. We're dealing with two different sets of fucking facts anymore. I can have a conversation with you guys, and I can have a conversation with somebody on the far right, and we're not even in the same fucking dimension as far as perceived facts go. So they're going to interpret this strike and its causes as one thing, whether or not it's factual or not. They're going to take it as factual. They're going to run to their militia groups, and we're going to. I honestly, I am terrified of what's going to happen if they actually do succeed in hitting us again. We're not going to attack them. We're going to attack each other, I think.
And to piggyback on that point, this is Todd. I don't know how well you know the Southeast Michigan area of
pretty well.
Okay, after 9/11, Dearborn Heights. You couldn't drive through there without seeing every gas station that was owned by someone from the Middle East. They flew as many American flags as they possibly could.
Yeah.
They were like, we love America. Please do not fuck with us. We are not the ones that did. And there were people there were crimes against people of Middle Eastern descent.
Well, yeah, the problem here, though, is it's not going to, I think that probably, let's just play with a hypothetical for a second. Say that New York was hit again and I don't know, something blows up and a few hundred people die, okay? Like an Oklahoma City type thing. I think that the racist hate attacks, I think they would probably continue. But what I'm afraid of is that these far-right fascist groups, okay, are going to start targeting liberals or anyone they see because they blame Obama. They blame liberalism for basically what's happened over the last 5 or 10 years. It's not so much, they definitely hate the Muslims, they hate Middle Eastern people. Sorry, Chris. But they also...
yeah, take it up at the meeting.
Yeah. But their vitriol, I think, is more directed at who they consider domestic terrorists, Democrats, liberals, people of that ilk. And these militia groups that are forming, the Michigan militias thrive in these days. There's militia groups out in Montana. I've seen articles about Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, all of these groups out west that once something happens, they're not going to be targeting, I don't think they're going to be targeting Middle Eastern people of Middle Eastern descent. I think they're going to start going after federal buildings. I think they're going to start going after these so-called domestic terrorists.
Well, which is what
terrifies me.
Which is what essentially the whole Timothy McVeigh Oklahoma City thing was.
He is the father of the Tea Party. He is the original Tea Partier. Look at the shirt he was wearing the day he blew up the Murrah building. You know what it says? You know what shirt that is?
No.
It's the same one. You see it all over these Tea Party pages. It's the one that the tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of patriots from time to time.
Madison that said that?
That's Jefferson. It's Thomas Jefferson.
And you know what? They probably actually, Oklahoma City bombing, I was going to say the movie The Rock.
What?
Yeah.
Brought that up. No, I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking.
Not Dwayne Johnson.
No. No.
That was his original tagline. It didn't go over so well.
Yeah, you couldn't smell what he was cooking if he was cooking that. But no, I'm with you, and I kind of wonder about it, and we've talked about it. And as the de facto in the group gun guy, I'll bring it up at the meeting to just let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like
Eric can be a gun guy too.
Don't take it after.
Yeah, I'm not anti-gun either. I mean, I'm right in the middle of this stuff. So you're not. It's not like you're
Aaron shot a gun. He can be a gun guy too.
To continue on with a hypothetical here, then. We talked about how the best response to terrorism is no response, but yet we have these domestic militia groups that are increasing in popularity in the U.S. seem to be kind of a response to the government's lack of effectiveness when it comes to fighting terrorism.
I don't think so. I think it's been spun. I think it's been spun that way. I think that's part of the propaganda. I think that's part of the stuff, that the bullshit that you see on the far right pages and things. The propaganda machine in action. I think that's what they use. I think that's how they spin everything. But I don't think. I think it has more to do with the fact that it's an excuse they've found to arm themselves against a country that they perceive is leaving them behind. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we've had Obama elected twice. We've got had a Democrat Congress and Senate, gay rights, gay marriage, all this other stuff. The country is moving to the left.
Right. So what you're saying is that not that these militant people would disagree with me, but it just goes much deeper than that.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is they're to the point where they're like, we're losing our country.
Let's take it back forcefully.
Yeah, exactly. Like I hear people say the good old days, the 50s, and I'm like, oh,
fuck
you
that.
mean when black people couldn't like drink from the same water
this sounds
fountain?
like the kind of the conditions the Civil War kind of brewed under.
Right. When
there is a post, there's something on the Huffington Post, and I'll gladly send this along to you guys today. That it says that the conditions and the attitude and the mentality that was around during the Civil War, prior to the Civil War, has returned.
Yeah, it makes sense. You have a lot of issues that are splitting people.
I have an uncle born up here, raised up here, at the age of 20, moved down south. I just had the conversation with him 3 days ago. He's getting from the hardcore America-loving motherfuckers. You ain't a true Southerner. You a Yankee. Get your ass back up above the Mason-Dixon line.
What year is it?
Exactly.
I really wish we would have had nukes in 1864.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? It would have made life just so much easier. You know? And there's another aspect to this too. I mean,
fuck that. The South is nice. I've been down there in the winter. It's nice.
I live down there. It's a fucking shithole. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it has nice climate and all that shit. But when you walk into a gas station and you're done, you're trying to pay for your fucking gas, and there's this Billy Joe redneck sitting behind the counter, looks at you and says, "Bam, you believe these niggers down here? You believe this shit? Look at that motherfucker over there." And he doesn't even know me. I'm passing through on my way from Michigan to Florida. I'm sitting at a fucking gas station in Alabama, Bama, and he thinks this shit is just appropriate to say to me because I'm white. And what does that say about the culture? Don't tell me it's a nice fucking place. It's a shithole. Fuck you, nuke it now.
Todd, okay.
You could
hold on a sec.
An albino Negro with vitiligo. All right.
No, but
how does he know?
When I moved to central New York, I lived in the village of Mohawk, and my landlord.
I know where that is.
What's up?
Holy shit! I think I know where that is.
In the Herkimer Valley.
I think so. Yeah, I hitchhiked up through there.
Yeah.
On the what?
In the Herkimer Valley.
Sorry,
Herkimer
Valley.
Valley.
Yeah. Isn't that like the area where the Mormons came from?
You got Little Falls. You got Woodstock 99 was held in Rome, New York, which is like 25 minutes away from where I was talking about.
I went to Woodstock 94 in Saugerties.
There you go.
Which is pretty cool. Anyways,
long story short, I went to go rent my apartment. My apartment. It's giving too much credit to the place I live.
Your room with a toilet?
Yes, exactly. And my landlord is now true in every sense of the term Yankee. Never been out of upstate New York or central New York. Never been lower than Albany. I mean, we're talking true term, true definition of the word. And he goes, "Hey, so where are you from?" Detroit. "Hey, you got a lot of niggers up in Detroit, don't you?" And I'm like,
niggers? What year is it? I'm
sitting there like, yeah, there's a lot of black people in Detroit. And he goes, "Yeah, I don't mind black people." I'm like,
there's somebody. At least he adapts.
Hold on a second. He goes, "I don't mind black people." I'm like, okay. And it was literally a setup for what he thought was a joke. He goes, "I got 2 or 3 chained in my backyard." And I'm like,
yeah. No, I've heard that. I've heard the same thing. I grew up in what I call Michigan's sweaty redneck groin. If you put your little hand up, it would be like right about here. It's down where Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana come together. I heard that shit a million times. You know what the favorite social philosophy of that area is? And I heard this again like 2 weeks ago. Well, you know, man,
how many times?
I'm not racist.
How many times can we get away with saying the word before iTunes takes us off?
No, wait, is it going to be misogynistic or racist? Can we take?
No, it's not racist. No, I'm quoting.
Let
not
him
racist.
finish.
All right.
Yeah, Jesus Christ,
dude,
guys.
this isn't going to get you taken off. I promise. But anyway, the primary or the predominant social philosophy of these trailer urchins down in Michigan's redneck sweaty groin down there is, you know, man, there's black people, and I'm not racist, man. I got me like 1 or 2 black friends and shit, but there's black peoples and then there's niggers.
Oh, yeah.
It's like and they consider this a rational social philosophy. You know what I mean? It's like I can't understand how the fuck I sprung from this place.
Todd, to be fair,
that's progressive for rednecks.
Chris Rock said the same thing, and no one had a problem with it. He said, "I love black people,
yeah,
but I hate N-bombs." You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's be honest here. Let's be honest. So. Yeah. I'm not defending them because I know what they mean. I believe me. I have family. I know what that term means when they say, or that statement means. But come on, man.
What you're talking about is thugs. Okay, what you're talking about.
But that's a code word now to certain people for a racial slur, an N-bomb.
What the fuck is up with this? What is up with this N-bomb stuff? Did you get a warning from iTunes or something that says you can't?
You want me to say it? I don't give a fuck. I thought because remember when we were playing the Black Bush skit and we got all quiet and it was they tried to kill my father. You were that's about to get us booted off.
We can say fuck, but we can't say the N-word.
No, that's the product of us growing up around here. That's
Todd. And here's the fucked up thing.
We're programmed to we're white. We can't say it.
And here's the fucked up thing. I kind of had
you're pointing at me and
a rough upbringing, and I was in certain state homes of lower learning as a child, and I was the minority because of my skin color.
I earned
no, but I was called that. And they'd be like, "Yo, that's my Rich," and I was like, okay, so we're cool, but you're colorblind, right? Like you can't see that I'm obviously white."
But to your point about Chris Rock, I mean, we understand the meaning behind both statements, though. The Southern gentleman was using it as a way to justify his racism and not think of himself as a troglodyte, whereas Chris Rock was kind of repurposing language.
Just like Chris Rock said, there's white people crimes and black people crimes. If you hear a story about someone breaking in their neighbor's house, chopping them up and eating them, probably a white guy.
Yeah.
If you hear a story about someone
definitely not a Jew,
someone pushing an old lady down a flight of stairs on the first of the month for her welfare check, probably a black guy. So there's white guy and black guy crimes, you know. So it's a valid point. It's a valid point.
Aaron's point is intent. The intent behind the two statements is
right. But just like the Redskin discussion we had, intent doesn't matter is what you said. Now all of a sudden intent matters. Remember the discussion about the Redskins?
Hold on. You're trying to
what were we talking about?
Pin me down on something where I was playing devil's advocate on.
Is that what that was?
I wasn't personally offended by that. I was just trying to show you from the perspective of people who say that they are offended by that.
Because I understand.
But that's the difference with the word nigger, though, too.
Oh,
wait, yeah, I said it.
I have this effect on people. I am like, it's the Toddzilla virus. It spreads and spreads and spreads. It is communicable. I swear to God.
Right. We can understand that there's a difference. There's a major difference in intent depending on how you use the word.
Well, I use the word with friends of mine who are black, and they don't even blink because they're like, "But that's Rich," and he's talking about me. He ain't my neighbors. Okay, my soon-to-be neighbors. My soon-to-be neighbors. They're, you know, hey, what up, Rich? What up, Mr. Washington? What up, young blood? What up, this? What? And he's like, damn, a nigga out early, huh? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of early in the morning, I guess. Do I flip out?
Why, yes, sir, I am out early.
Do I trip out? No.
Here's the thing. Going one more point on the redneck use of that social philosophy bullshit. I think the thing that they're trying to do, and I hesitate to say it because I grew up down there and I come from that culture, and I probably used that very phrase myself when I was younger and I didn't know any better. And I think where that comes from, and the reason that I bring it up, and the reason that I'm so I have so much venom towards it, it has nothing to do with blacks and thugs and all this stuff. It's basically what they're saying is I don't mind black people who act white. You know, as long as they act like me and they don't have their own specific culture, you know, then they're okay. As long as they've walked down the Uncle Tom path a little bit, they're okay.
And the quickest way to piss off, which is a lot of my black friends, is to go, "Wow, you talk white," and they go, "What the fuck is talking white? Are you fucking serious?" Yeah. Because I use proper English, that's talking white. No, I speak English. Weren't we all taught that in fucking grade school?
My friends, you're
the whitest black guy I know. They're like, the fuck does that mean? I'm a person. I'm not a fucking
right. That idea that there's a way to act white, the way that a black person can act white, is even more racist than just blindly hating all black people.
But that's
up in racism.
It's white superiority.
Racism.
What you're talking about is white superiority, white supremacy, because acting white is the proper way to act. You see what I'm saying? And you've sort of elevated your behavior to white behavior.
Well, Todd,
is kind of what they're saying.
It's all fun and games until somebody brings up the client.
Todd, give me a sec, because what is it?
Yeah,
laissez-faire? How do you? What is the term?
Laissez-faire? What about it?
Laissez-faire racism. It's kind of like, it's not. You think you're enlightened with your statement, but really you're absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying you. I mean, like,
no. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
And I've been guilty of it. And I'm gonna tell you, man, fuck this. You want fucking honesty? I'll give you some honesty. Let a motherfucker cut me off in traffic and piss me off at the wrong time, and I'm gonna call him everything that he looks like, and I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? At that moment, I'm that angry. I'm like, man, fuck this. You know, if he's if he's got his window down and I hear "Freedom" by George Michael playing, be like, that fag motherfucker just cut me off. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, it's in my CD changer. You know, the same song. It's just saying something out of anger in a split second does not define who that person is in my opinion.
Okay, but this leads me into, I wanted to bring this up because, and this is perfect because you use the word faggot, and faggot and nigger are two words that if you go and just about any forum that doesn't have a censor on it, you will find all over the place. These are also words that if you play any online gaming, you will hear constantly. So where do those come from? Is that
what?
Is that racism and bigotry that's just built into their nature, or is that just?
I can take this one because again, growing up in that area that I grew up in, faggot was it was part of the general vernacular of the area, and it really didn't have anything to do with being gay. It did at times if you were effeminate or something like that, or you were doing something that wasn't portrayed as manly. Oh, you don't hunt? What are you, a fag? You know, that kind of thing. You run into that a lot, but it was more of. I think Doug Stanhope. There is a comedian that has some bit. I think it is Stanhope, based on the reaction Rich is having here.
Go ahead.
He knocks it out of the park with the word faggot, because the word faggot to me it means something different. It's just a general sort of derogatory term. It's not directed at gay people per se. You know, I can call you a faggot. I know you're not gay. You eat red pussy. I mean, I'm not going to. You know what I'm saying?
It's just gross.
But I can still call you a fag. You know, it's just a
playful too.
Yeah, it's just a playful barb. You know, it's not anything that really means anything other than, I don't know, calling you a dick.
Right. I use the word a lot as a kid, and I understood what it meant to be a faggot or act faggoty. But the idea of homosexuality didn't really exist in my head. I was like, guys don't have sex with other guys. That doesn't exist in my mind. But I still understood the idea of being a faggot or acting faggoty.
Well, I guess because I spent some of my childhood in Florida.
Yeah.
And you go to the beaches, and it was homosexuals were very more open about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you saw two guys holding hands, and I'd go, Dad, what's going on with those guys? And he's like, oh, they're gay. And I'm like, what's that mean? It means they love each other. And he's trying to like figure, you know, he's trying to find out the best way to say it.
Right.
and explain it to me,
You know,
without putting inserting his own prejudices in there, which tells me a lot about my father. Because if you think about it, he could have just said, "Those are a couple fags," and he never did. He was like, "Those guys are gay.
Right.
Gay men prefer the company of a gay man prefers company of a gay man. A gay woman prefers company of a gay woman." And this really, honestly, is just that's what they like. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I didn't until I
Never
was
knew the
like
difference.
10. I didn't think that
Just
homosexuality existed at all.
Just like the first two albums I bought were Kings of Rock by Run DMC and.
Where are you going with this?
Well, no. Give me a second.
Okay.
And the albums I bought with my own money as a kid, I walked in the store. Kings of Rock. Thank you for flashing up George Michael. We got Hattie over
Earlier
here.
was Samuel L. Jackson.
I wish I could fucking hear this shit. I can't hear a goddamn thing.
No, he's just throwing up pictures.
No. It's just random pictures on. Anyways, but I bought Kings of Rock and I bought
Wham, make it big.
No, no. I wish I was that in light. Well, no. Tears for Fears would have been awesome, but I didn't. I bought Born in the USA, and I was at my grandfather's house for the weekend. I was playing him, and he goes, "Born in the USA," had no problem with. Mm-hmm. He was like, I don't like that rock music, whatever. Now, Kings of Rock, come on. When I put that cassette in, he goes, "What's his nigger music?" And I'm like, What? It didn't make it's music to me. I didn't understand the difference. You know what I'm saying? So as a kid, I didn't understand calling someone a fag was. You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I maintain this. We had this conversation before. I maintain words mean more than one thing. I maintain the word fag can mean more than one thing.
It's called context.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you guys don't buy into the fact that, the idea that a word can be so vitriolic that we should just avoid it altogether, and that context,
you know what I would like to do?
Ceases to be a factor.
You know what I would like to do? I would like to liberate the word nigger. I would like to use that term against the people who actually would hold almost as much power as it would black people, and that would be redneck white people. I would love to be able to go into a trailer park down in Tupelo, Mississippi, and call every little piece of white trash wearing their wife beaters with their fucking, their cutlass up on the blocks in the front yard, playing Hank Williams Jr. out of the trailer. I'd love to be able to call them.
Hank Williams III is pretty good, but go ahead.
I'd love to be able to throw that word at them, because it's like I came up with this term in one of my last, I think it was in the last podcast I did, empacadores de té, which is teabagger in Spanish. So if you start calling teabaggers a teabagger in Spanish, it's going to piss them off, because they hate, immigrants, they hate Mexicans, and they hate everything about them. They hate being called a teabagger, so you call them a teabagger in Spanish. Why couldn't you take that word, liberate it, and just apply it to the very people that on the white side of the racial spectrum?
So we're talking about calling rednecks Blanco Negro.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, but Blanco Negro.
Yeah, I don't even. It doesn't have to be. I think it would be better if it was in English, actually, with the rednecks, because there's not really an immigrant thing with that. But I just, you know what I mean? Just liberate the fuck out of it. If it's going to be a derogatory term toward black people that white people think that they can hurl, why don't we just hurl it right back at them and sort of level the playing field? Instead of calling them white trash, call them niggers. And I think it would just, what it would do. Can you imagine what that would do to redneck America?
But man, I think calling them Whiskey Tango is even more fun, because they don't even understand that.
White trash?
Yeah, that's only fun for you. That's
if you haven't been,
for you.
If you haven't been in the military, or you don't understand the military, vernacular, you call someone Whiskey Tango. Hey man, what are you doing? I'm Oscar Mike. I'm on the move. That's what that means. I'm out. Yeah. Later.
These guys, they have like tactical camouflage in their closets, man. They're going to go out and join the militia and take on Obama's tyranny. They know exactly what Whiskey Tango means.
True.
True. Yeah.
But I will say this. I my gay friends who I've actually had these conversations with about. Okay, so the word fag. If I use it, does it piss you off? And they go, "Are you calling me a fag?" No. And they're like, okay. How about, when you say the word, do you mean it as a slur against gay people? I said, no, I mean it as this guy's acting like a fucking faggot and he's pissing me off. And they go,
we're back to intent
here. Yeah. And they say this, we're going to let you in our little club for a second. We do the same thing. Like,
yeah, of course.
They're like, that shit is so gay.
Is that a bylaw at the meetings?
You know?
And we have to call each other that, like, my
our
faggot.
mutual friend.
What's up, my
Chris.
faggot?
They actually...
What's that, Todd?
Our mutual friend from Kalamazoo. I see you have the WKMI.
Oh, yes, that is
That's
my
pretty
podcast
impressive.
mode.
Good
Anyway,
eye.
we have a mutual friend who I'm no longer really friends with, but we met in Kalamazoo. He was our program director back there, and he happens to be gay. And when they first hired him on as the, I think he was the production director when he came in, something like that. Nobody
He
had
voiced all
told
the
me.
spots. It's
Yeah, he was
whatever
the
that
production
is.
guy. Anyway, nobody had told me that he was gay. It was common knowledge around the station to everybody but me. And we're standing in the hallway one day, and I walk up and I said something about a commercial that was cut. I said, "God, that commercial's so fucking gay," and he didn't even bat an eye. He didn't have any reaction at all, but you would have thought that I had just whipped my dick out in front of like a bunch of school children to everybody else who was standing around him. They were so offended for him, and he didn't even care. He understood exactly what I was saying. He knew that it wasn't anything to do with being, homophobic or anything like that. It was just something that people say as a derogatory term towards something. It's gay.
And Todd, that's an excellent point that I heard someone bring up.
I also had no idea this man was gay until I think he told me. I was like, well, no clue.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
It just wasn't an issue, man. Who gives a fuck? That was the mentality,
It's like my manager at work. He made a big show of like getting to know me and like in retrospect, he was feeling me out, seeing where I stood on certain issues, and then all of a sudden he goes, I worked a Sunday, open and close with him. It was just us two, and he goes, "Hey man, I gotta tell you something." And I'm like, "Are we out of dough? All right, what's going on here? What's the big why the big lead in?" He goes, "I'm gay. Do you have a problem with that?" And I said, "Man, I don't give a fuck what you do. In fact, you're one less guy I got to compete with in the Olympics of trying to get some pussy."
One less guy heading out for pussy.
Well, yeah, but I mean, also what Todd said is to me is very apt. People tend to get offended for other people.
Yeah,
I'm offended because you
It's
said
an entire.
gay.
It's
You
an
said-
entirely
and
new
it's like,
podcast.
You're not gay. You don't have a right to be offended for someone else who is, and that's insulting to them to assume that they'd be offended about that.
That's modern liberalism.
Yeah, I was reading a story about. Well, I don't know if we'll get to this on any of our podcasts, but I was telling you a story about the whole gaming controversy, and it was just all about misogyny and mostly misogyny in gaming, but other failings. It kept referring to this term "social justice warrior" and referred to it as SJW throughout the article, and that is the person that they just feel like that's their job to be offended and to write that offense. Was it you in one of the podcasts last week that said something about that everybody, like somebody, you have to have a stance on absolutely every issue, that you can't just let
Tool.
things take the middle ground. You have to come out on one side or the other of absolutely every single issue that comes your way. Was it you that came out with that?
I
think it was.
I actually made the reference. It was about Tool, and I asked Chris about it. And
Yeah.
Chris knew the quote better than I did.
Yeah, that was it.
Because I
Yeah.
mangled it.
Well, actually, we were talking about that on the way over here when Rich was doing some self-deprecation, talking about, sometimes he flip-flops, and I think I paraphrased something you said on maybe your first or second podcast, and you're talking about, or maybe just the conversations we've had over the years, just if you just blindly take one side of something and that's it, and you just have you have shut down the possibility that there's not a chance that you can be wrong, that you could possibly see other sides of the other argument, then that's it.
It's a sign of intelligence to be able to change your mind.
Yeah.
It's a sign that you're actually thinking and taking in new fucking information.
Yeah, and I was trying to tell Rich, like, that's not
attached to
bad that you took facts and, perhaps changed your mind.
And by the way, both of you gentlemen, thank you for making me feel better for being a flip-flopper, because I totally flip-flopped with the conversation with you about Henry Rollins. And I sucked. I was like,
Dude,
call me John Kerry. I'm about to flip flop.
I don't trust anyone who is so rigid that they never, ever, ever bother to take in new information or can't change their mind on anything. I just don't fucking trust you. It goes back to that second podcast, that one I was talking about, Independence Day. By the way, that's the Toddzilla X-Pod on ChristopherMedia.com. Anyway, it goes back to talking about the gramophone mind. In other words, you're having people, you're basically taking in all this information and you're just basically regurgitating it. You don't bother to process any of it for yourself or through your own filters or through your own experiences or anything else. You're just basically you're an intellectual monolith. You're completely immobile. You're a parrot, man. You're spouting off somebody else's thoughts. You're like a megaphone for somebody else's mouth. And I don't trust anybody. I think over the last 4 or 5 years, I've developed almost a sixth sense for that, especially across social media and having political conversations with people. I can tell when you're not thinking. I can tell when you're not, you don't have any process going on in your head.
People believe that that's a sign of intelligence. Sign of intelligence is having an opinion on a subject and being able to speak about it, even if it's not your own opinion.
Actually,
how often do you come across a man on the street interview and somebody says, that sounds interesting, I'm going to need more information? No, they're like, oh, I'm on the spot. I got an opinion about that.
Let me show off a little bit. I'll invoke Plato here. Okay, it's called the illusion of wisdom. There's this thing, I think it's in Phaedrus, one of Plato's dialogues, and he's talking about this king who comes up with reading. Okay, he comes up with the technology of reading. And the king guy was like, you know what, I'm not really impressed with your reading, because what it's going to do is it's going to give people the illusion of wisdom. In other words, you're going to be able to spout off somebody else's thoughts. You're going to be able to quote things. You're not going to actually have that authentic wisdom of your own sort of organic and intellectual process.
Jesus Christ, he's talking about me.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, though? And we're fucking inundated with that shit today. We have so many people, both left, right, wherever, who just basically they just say something they've heard, and then they take their plumage and they puff it out like they're all proud and shit, like they came up with it. They didn't come up with this shit. You're a fucking cretin, man. You're just basically, you cut and paste something you read off on Breitbart, and you want me to think you're smart.
Well, also, I've made the mistake of, in the past, being reactionary to events and just posting something on Facebook about, just some kind of gut reaction to something.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that, and that doesn't necessarily mean that those were my fully formed thoughts on it, that I, thought about this for an hour and condensed it all down to one sentence. And it also means that there's a lot of things that I've changed my opinion on since.
Sure.
That was just my first reaction. But the fact that it's so easy for us to get that first reaction out there, and once it's out there, that's set in stone. This is your opinion.
I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant to bring this up because I don't want to guide this off. I know we've been going for a long time, and if you let me, I will turn this into a 3-hour podcast.
We have a week to cover, so go ahead.
I really want to guide this into the Facebook and the social media stuff that I wanted to get to last week before Chris shut me down because he hated what I was saying.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for clicking. Thanks for liking. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for subscribing for free by clicking through the iTunes banner on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for telling a friend. I probably already said that, but that's how important it is, because that's how podcasts work, man. It's the days of pirate radio, sorta, kinda. Just please tell somebody. We drop every Monday and Thursday. Check out all of the other shows on ChristopherMedia.net. Make sure you're checking out The Weedsman. You're checking out Eminem. You are checking out Mr. Toddzilla. We got a couple new shows kicking around, too. A lot of people are starting to notice what we're doing. They want to get involved, so big things might be happening. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.
If you enjoy this show and want more people to know about it, head on over to iTunes, leave a comment, and rate it 5 stars. Make sure you like and share us on Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Just search for Christopher Media. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Most importantly, we would like to take the time to extend an extra special thanks to you. Christopher Media could not exist without your support. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.